Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 31st of January, now it's 9 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and the Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield, if I may. According to reports from Russian media, Russian military channels and the Defense Ministry of Russian Federation, there was no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. It's local scale skirmishes, artillery duels, drone wars, and local offensive or defensive operations. Latest report of Russian Defense Ministry on progress of special military operation during the previous 24 hours suggests that Ukrainian armed forces yesterday lost about 900 military personnel on line of contact, which is almost 2 full-blooded battalions, and also a few dozen of military vehicles, including tanks, armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles, artillery systems, and so on. Operational pause mainly is holding, and of course main hotspots are not changed on Kherson direction. It's Krinky settlement in Zaporozhye sector, Orekhov bridgehead, and Rabotina settlement, South Donetsk sector, Vremovsky salient, area between Vremovsky salient and Ugledar, and also Novomikhailivka on the eastern side of this sector. On Donetsk sector, of course, Georgievka settlement west of Marinka, this one here. Avdiivka, of course, and the flanks of Bakhmut. Significant increase in clashes, local scale clashes on Krasny Liman sector of the front line. And according to Russian Defense Ministry, Ukrainian armed forces yesterday lost about 290 military personnel in Krasny Liman sector alone. And on Kupiansk direction, also increase in activity. Main hotspots on Kupiansk sector are, of course, Sinkovka settlement and this area here around Krakhmalna and Tabaevka, where Russian forces did manage to basically collapse Ukrainian defense lines and are gaining more and more territories under the control. But yet again, we are talking about local scale clashes, nothing that can influence overall situation on that sector of the front. And this is it for a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. As I said, operational pause mainly is holding, and if you are interested in more detailed analysis of these local changes, of course I recommend military channels for that. There is plenty of them on internet. I will continue with additional news. RIA Novosti's report here that yesterday root domain in Russian segment of internet experienced a huge technical error, huge technical difficulties, and well, if you were trying to access Russian websites, you would not be able to because of this error. Many websites did not work, but for now, it seems like this technical error is neutralized. Initially, I was thinking Russian segment of internet come under cyber attack, big cyber attack, but no media outlets reported about any attacks at all. So maybe that was just a technical error in a system. Next news is from RIA Novosti also, which is telling us about article in Times, British newspaper, and according to this report, head of Ukraine's ground forces, Colonel General Alexander Syrsky, refused to take a place of Zaluzhny, head of general staff of Ukraine. And he is not the first high-ranking military official who refused to do so. Previously, according to Times, by the way, Kirill Budanov, head of Ukraine's military intelligence, made same decision. He refused to take position of Zaluzhny. This information, and because we are talking about a British newspaper, British Times, and because Zaluzhny is asset of UK's military intelligence, and he has close ties to UK's defense authorities, defense ministry. I guess Time has some inside information, and most likely this report is correct. And according to this newspaper, Zaluzhny had a meeting with Zelensky and his advisors, and Zaluzhny was very critical of attitude of political leadership of Ukraine, and he said that political leadership is much more optimistic than realistic when it comes to situation on the front line. And after that hard talk between sides, Zaluzhny was recommended to leave his position in the general staff. He refused on the spot, but once he go back to his office, he spoke to his associates in general staff. He said that he was dismissed, and at that point, London get involved in the situation, also Washington, and Zelensky was basically forced to back off. And if it's correct, by the way, if this information from Times is correct, we have additional indicator that the Western ruling class is preparing ground on Ukraine to remove Zaluzhny from office. Hard to tell how long it will take, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, but eventually Zelensky will definitely be removed from office. It's only matter of formalization of it at this point. And well, Zaluzhny, after such a backing from the London and from Washington, will definitely become much more emboldened to oppose Zelensky in next several months. And I remind you that Zelensky's authorities as a president will end towards end of March. In April, Zelensky will no longer be president of US, president of UK. If Ukraine's parliament will not prolong this martial law in a country. So very interesting situation. I reported some time ago that there are crises, political crisis in Ukraine, and in parliament also in Rada, and many MPs don't want to participate in these political games. They are kind of afraid, maybe, or they are choosing positions and want to find the place in Zaluzhny's camp, and therefore at least few dozen MPs want to resign, even from Zelensky's party. And well, if processes continue this way, I guess towards the end of the March, there will be a situation in Ukraine when Zelensky would not be able to prolong martial law. He will not have backing of parliament, and therefore, he will just step down. He will be forced to step down. Otherwise, militaries may take action. And Zaluzhny, after backing of almost open backing from London and Washington, definitely will be in strong enough positions to take action and remove Zelensky from office. Let's see. I stressed several times that it is quite likely that eventually these two camps will provoke confrontation between these two camps. Eventually may provoke armed conflict between the sides, internal armed conflict, internal civil war in Ukraine's so-called elites. And well, as time goes by, there is more and more indicators that exactly that may happen, because it did not really seems like Zelensky is willing to leave office without fight. He and his associates. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that head of NATO, during his visit in US, made yet another statements on Ukraine. Let's read several sentences here. Any negotiations between Moscow and Kiev about peace agreement and peace agreements are inextricably linked to situation on the battlefield, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has stated, insisting that the bloc must send even more military aid to Kiev. Speaking in Washington at the joint press conference with the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Stoltenberg said that aid to Ukraine is not charity but is investment into our own security. He also shared his view that in order to achieve lasting peace in Ukraine, the West needs to ramp up its support for Kyiv and send more weapons and munition, proclaiming that weapons to Ukraine is a path to the peace. Well, I don't even going to comment on these statements. I mean, more weapons are path to the peace. Okay, I mean, that's very strange logic, but at this point, I don't think anybody is surprised to hear any stupid stuff from any high-ranking Western official. RIA Novosti's report here, interesting report, by the way, that Defense Ministry of Romania made a statement yesterday, according to Newsweek, and denied rumors that were circulating in internet that Romanian Air Force's F-16 conducted military operation in Ukraine and targeted Russian forces in Kherson region. These rumors were circulating almost all day, and eventually it gets so much attention that it was yesterday or day before yesterday, and it gets so much attention, especially in Romania, because people get anxious, of course. They don't want to end up in war with Russia, which is understandable. That Defense Ministry was forced to come out and deny this information as a false, and stated that no Romanian fighter jet conducted any military operation anywhere, especially in Ukraine and against Russia. But by the way, fact itself that this type of rumors very rapidly spread on internet definitely can be seen as an indicator that at least some part of societies in the neighboring with Ukraine countries and the media outlets, some experts even, are thinking that NATO may use military bases in these countries to conduct military operations against Russia, which is, of course, will endanger these countries significantly. And well, there is four NATO countries that are bordering Ukraine. Romania is one, and Romania theoretically can be used by NATO because I don't think Romanian authorities have enough strength to refuse orders from Brussels or from Washington. Slovakia is a little different. Slovakia is bordering Ukraine, and Slovakia's current government most likely will refuse to participate in any military operation or to let NATO to use its territory to conduct military operations against Russia. Hungary will do the same, undoubtedly. And well, Poland, when it comes to Poland, well, there is questions how Poland will act. Theoretically, it is possible that Romania and Poland, military bases in Romania and Poland and airfields, may be used to conduct airstrikes in Ukraine against Russian forces, although I will say it is quite unlikely, theoretically possible, but quite unlikely, because in that case, Russia will have an open hand, all means necessary, including legal means, to conduct retaliatory strikes, and I don't think any of these countries gonna like it. Anyway, let's continue. TASS News Agency's report here that, well, according to Time, yet again, according to Time, expert of the time in foreign affairs, Ian Bremmer, NATO may get involved directly in Ukrainian conflict once Western leaders will realize, Western capitals will realize that Kyiv is definitely losing this conflict. And well, I have to agree with this take on the situation partially, because NATO will definitely get involved at some point, and I spoke about it many times before, because and not necessarily because Ukraine will lose. Of course, NATO leaders, NATO member states know already and knew from very beginning that Ukraine will lose this conflict. But they will get involved to establish control over the western regions of Ukraine when full-scale disintegration of this failed state begins in near future. And well, in this regard, this expert in foreign affairs, Ian Bremmer, is somewhat correct. So definitely NATO member states will get involved and they will occupy western Ukraine, supporting Poland, Hungary, and Romania to gain back control over the historical territories in the western part of this failed state, and the rest of the Ukraine will be controlled by Russian forces. I remind you that NATO is planning to conduct largest military exercises in the Eastern Europe in February, if I'm not mistaken. And in my reading of big picture, those military exercises are also meant to prepare NATO forces to rapidly be deployed in the western Ukraine, so that Ukrainian neo-Nazi formations that mainly are from western Ukraine will not have enough time to organize some stiff resistance, because of course NATO member states know that western Ukraine is a heartland for Ukrainian Nazi ideology and Ukrainian neo-Nazis, and they will resist occupation, no matter under which source this occupation will take place, to preserve Ukraine, to protect Ukraine, to whatever the case, no matter what Western ruling elite's gonna say why they are entering Western Ukraine. But of course everyone will know that this is full-scale disintegration of Ukraine, and Ukraine's neighbors are basically gaining back control over their historical land, and Ukrainian neo-Nazis would not be happy about it. Ukrainian neo-Nazis that were trained by NATO member states and armed by NATO member states will begin fighting against very same NATO states and NATO forces. And this will happen, by the way, in it's hard to tell, time frame when full-scale disintegration of Ukraine will happen, but it's definitely no more than next 2 years. 2024, 2025, I guess will be decisive. Anyway, let's continue. RT's report here that Russia has destroyed large share of Ukraine's German-made battle tanks. Ukraine's military has lost a substantial proportion of its Leopard 2 battle tanks donated by foreign states, with more than a quarter destroyed by Russian troops and the rest damaged beyond Kyiv's capacity to repair them, according to Foreign Affairs magazine. While Western media reports totaled the German-made tanks as a game changer after while Western media reports titled the German-made tanks as a game changer after Berlin authorized the transfer of those vehicles last year, Kiev has since discovered that they are hardly invulnerable super weapons. The outlet reported on Monday. Of the fewer than 100 Leopard 2s in Ukraine service, at least 26 have been knocked out. Others cannot be used due to repair and maintenance issues, Foreign Affairs wrote, adding that Ukraine lacks the extensive support infrastructure needed to maintain its fleets. By the way, this is not the first time when Western media is writing about Leopard 2 tanks, and just about months ago, probably many of you remember, there were reports that German experts were kind of shocked, and also media representatives, when they went to not just Ukraine, but also in Lithuania, if I'm not mistaken, when this repair base is located to repair damaged tanks in Ukraine. And they were kind of shocked how easily those tanks are damaged or destroyed, and how many of those tanks are malfunctioning even without participating in the battlefield. So there was a report with the headlines, if you remember, that Leopard 2s are great tanks for exercises, for photo opportunities, for media operations, but when it comes to real battle, these tanks did prove that, well, they are not really, not super weapons, but I mean, they hardly can be seen on the same level that Soviet era tanks even. And that's simple true, man. You know, advertisement don't make these tanks any better than they really are. And I did believe, by the way, I used to believe really that Leopard 2s were one of the best tanks in the world, but and they're supposed to be, and maybe they are, but definitely not as good as everybody was thinking. They maybe are too complicated to operate, too, I don't know, man. I don't know. Those tanks are built not for battle, it seems like. Soviet tanks are built for battle, for real battle. Tank-on-tank battle, any type of battle, in any conditions. Western tanks, I don't know for what purposes Western tanks are built, because Leopard 2s are basically definitely not any better than Ukrainian T-64s, for example, or T-72s. Definitely not better than them. And when it comes to British Challenger 2s, I mean, where are those tanks? Ukraine used them once, and one Challenger 2 was burned down, according to some reports. Another 2 was also burned down, and after that, we did not see any Challengers on the battlefield. Where is the Abrams tanks? I mean, all this military equipment had a huge advertisement in the Western world and even worldwide, that they are great, they are best in the world. And I mean, where are those tanks? So that's the answer, how good those tanks really are. You can see on the battlefield on daily basis T-64s, T-72s, on Ukrainian side, T-80s. On Russian side, you can see same stuff, by the way, T-72s, T-80s, T-90s. They are operating in harsh conditions. They are ready to take action. But Western tanks, nah. So this is a lesson, by the way, for Western arms manufacturers, because, well, it seems like they really are building weapons for photo opportunities, for media operations, for exercises. Those weapons look great, by the way, but when it comes to real battle, they are, you know, obsolete, let's say this way. TASS news agencies report here that Lavrov, foreign minister of Russian Federation, did call absurd statements from high-ranking Western officials, that some high-ranking Western officials, that after special military operation in Ukraine, Baltic states will be next, or even Scandinavian states. And well, it is absurd, and Lavrov says absolutely correctly, Western ruling elites are using this tactic of fear tactic to threaten local citizens in the West, and quite successfully. More people are scared, easier for Western ruling class to rule over these people and to manipulate with these people. But if we are talking about reality, I mean, that's the reality, man, that all those statements are absurd and Russia has no plans to attack nobody. If Russia is not provoked, it is impossible, it is absolutely impossible that Russia will begin military operations against anybody. Also, and by the way, when it comes to German weapons, I want to, be more precise. I'm not saying that those weapons, those Western weapons, are total garbage. No, they are, still capable, at least on the paper, weapons. But well, battlefield speaks volumes, isn't it? And I mean, Leopard 2s were sent, Challenger 2s were sent, Abrams tanks were sent to Kiev regime, and Western media proclaimed that they are, something out of this world. They're gonna be game changers. And where are they? What they change? Only thing they managed to change is how people see those Western tanks now. That's how it is. It was easy to advertise Western weapons while they were fighting against some not really professional armies in Iraq, in some other places, but in high intensity conflict like in Ukraine, I mean, what Abrams, man? Abrams' lifespan will be like 5-10 minutes on a zero line, that's it. And same goes for Challenger, same goes for Leopard 2. On zero line, they will survive maximum minutes before they will be destroyed by anti-tank missile system or artillery. Anyway, let's continue. RT's report here that Biden says that he has decided how to respond on Jordan attack. US President Joe Biden said on Tuesday that he has decided how to respond to deadly drone attacks on US forces in Jordan. Biden said he would not seek a wider war in the Middle East. Asked by a reporter whether he had settled on the response to the attack, Biden replied yes, without revealing any further details. And by the way, I did report on my Telegram this morning that well, according to Guardian, Iran has told the US via intermediators that if US strikes Iranian soil directly, Tehran will itself hit back at American assets in the Middle East, drawing the two sides into direct conflict. So Iran warned the US that if Iranian soil attacked, then there will be a response. And Iran already proved that it has capabilities to strike anywhere in the Middle East with precise weapons. So I guess because of the strong statements from Washington, there will be some response. Probably US Air Force or maybe US warships also will launch some missiles towards this Shiite militia that are operating in Syria and Iraq, and that's it. There will be no direct strikes on Iran soil. There will be no direct strikes on Iran's navy. And the Western media, by the way, if you remember, I reported about it yesterday. Western media was reporting that one of the possible responses that are considered in Washington is to attack Iran's navy in the Persian Gulf, which would be crazy move, of course, and it will definitely provoke regional conflict. RT's report here. US is no longer enjoys uncontested superiority, according to CIA chief. Interesting. The director of the US Central Intelligence Agency has admitted that his country no longer enjoys undisputed superiority in the global politics. Okay. In an op-ed published by Foreign Affairs magazine on Tuesday, William Burns acknowledged that China's rising military and economic strength, Russia's willingness to use military force in Ukraine, and the growing number of regional powers pushing independent foreign policies have all led to a world of intense strategic competition in which the United States no longer enjoys uncontested primacy. Well, okay, with American power facing more challenges than at any point since the end of Cold War, the CIA has increased its recruitment efforts in Russia and opened the new mission center focused exclusively on China, Burns revealed. Well, Russian counterintelligence service will work actively to neutralize any traitors, any fucking animals that will decide to work for CIA and betray Russia, 100%, and I guess Chinese will do the same. And well, Burns and all the other criminals in the CIA should realize what time is now. And if they will realize it, they will understood then that time when US was a dominant force in the world and CIA was doing unchallenged whatever they liked, those times are finished. Finished. That's it. Best chances US have now is to transfer itself to become a real democracy, real republic, and then US may join this multipolar world that is building right before our eyes. But current US, this monstrous empire that is a threat for everybody in this world, well, current US has no future for sure. And that's a topic that Western ruling elites, think tanks should be focused on. Not to try to maintain dominance or to regain dominance. It's impossible. They should focus on changes inside the US itself to make sure that US is a republic again, because right now, I mean, US is hardly can be called democracy, man. Let's be real here. US even hardly can be called as a state. I mean, look at the mess in US. If I was US citizen, I would be horrified, by the way, and I will try to move out from US as fast as possible, and I will move my family out of US because it's a I mean, there may be some states in US that are still more or less okay to live, but I mean, come on now. So that's what my recommendation would be for this idiot, man, this Burns. Focused on your country and changes that is necessary to make sure that US will survive these inevitable changes that are coming, including emergence of new world order and the multipolar world. You know, they are crying about, you know, they are losing dominance. Really, who the hell are you to dominate over the world, man? Who are you? Nobody, for God's sake, man. RIA Novosti's report here. that Prime Minister of Japan made a statement that he is willing to sign a peace treaty with Russia, although only if this issue of so-called northern territories will be resolved. I mean, empty statement really, without any substance. And former Russian president and current deputy chairman of Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, respond on this, and he said, by the way, Japanese prime minister did say that this this so-called issue of northern territories has influence on feelings of Japanese society. And well, Medvedev's response was, Moscow does not give a damn that Japan is upset over some islands. Moscow, he said basically that we don't give a damn about your feelings. That's what he said. To be more direct in translation. And let me read here several sentences. Moscow is not against signing a peace treaty with Japan, but Tokyo must understand that the Kuril Islands are and will remain part of Russia. Former President Dmitry Medvedev has said. Medvedev, who now serves as a deputy chairman of the Security Council, was responded after Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida stated that his country remains firmly committed to the course aimed at resolving the territorial issue and concluding a peace treaty with Moscow, despite continuing to support sanctions against Russia over the Ukraine conflict. Moscow and Tokyo have for decades been in this confrontation on territorial dispute topic over four Kuril Islands, known as in Japan as the Northern Territories, which were captured by Soviet Union at the end of World War II. Russia has argued that the sovereignty of the Kurils is guaranteed by post-war agreements, while Japan has said that they do not cover some of the islands. Against this backdrop, the two countries ended the formal state of war in the mid-50s, but never signed a peace treaty. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, Medvedev stressed that nobody's against a peace treaty, which he said should reflect the fact that the territorial question is closed once and for all, and in accordance with the constitution of Russia. Kuril Islands will be actively developing as the strategic role continues to grow, especially when it comes to the deployment of new weapons in the region. Medvedev added, "We don't give a damn about the feelings of the Japanese concerning the so-called Northern Territories," Medvedev stressed. He suggested that anyone who is unhappy with the situation in Japan should end their life in a traditional Japanese way, referring to seppuku from ritualistic suicide engaging with the samurai warriors. Well, basically Medvedev has, you know what, if you are not happy, just kill yourself. And that's what he said to Japanese Prime Minister, and everybody in Japan who is not happy with the current situation. Just do the seppuku, man. And, and that's it, really. And this is attitude, by the way. This is attitude that Japanese leadership definitely deserved from Russia. There was some times, like 5 years ago, when Moscow was quite, even before that, by the way, when Moscow was demonstrating that it was ready to achieve some agreement with Japan, but then Tokyo began playing these games, I guess under orders of Washington, and Moscow said, you know what, we were ready to discuss with you some topics, but if you don't want to, if you are not ready, if you can't, then just back off. topic is closed now, and we don't give a damn about you and your feelings. Just stay away from us. That's Moscow's current attitude. Quite understandable, by the way. Quite understandable. It's Japanese leadership's fault that relationships between the two countries are this bad. It is what it is, man. Yet again, if there were some proper think tanks in Japan, they will recommend to their government to be more realistic, more pragmatic, because Japan is doomed, by the way. With current policies and current attitude towards Russia, Japan is doomed. That's it. In the long run, I'm not talking about tomorrow or day after, but in the long run, well, Japan is finished. That's it. At his report here that Russia's non-dollar settlements within the BRICS skyrocketing, according to Russia's central bank. The share of the country's transactions with the other bloc members in the national currencies has reached 85%, according to Elvira Nabiulina, which is well, good news, because good news, and one more reason why rest of the world should also distance themselves from dollar, from euro, from Western financial institutions, and one more reason why BRICS member states should come up with alternative financial systems. I know there's some workings going on these topics, on alternative currency and alternative financing system, and it has to be done as soon as possible, by the way. It has to be done as soon as possible. And if you remember, dear friends, I reported a few days ago that Russian alternative system to the SWIFT is already used by 20 countries, by 500, more than 500 banks and other enterprises worldwide, from 20 countries, and this number is growing. But I mean, this is not enough, of course. More has to be done, and if BRICS will begin actively work, or not to actively work, I mean, BRICS is actively working on this topic, but once BRICS will introduce these alternative financial systems, that will be breakthrough, of course. So needed breakthrough, because I mean, the world has to get liberated from this Western financial system and banking system, and it's just necessary. Let the Western world have its own banking system, its own financial system. Why rest of the world have to be dependent on that system? I don't get it. And well, hopefully in next couple of years, like, I don't know, 2-3 years time, we will see some concrete steps in this direction. And also Kommersant newspaper is reporting that Russian banks reported a record 3.3 trillion ruble income in 2023, which is quite a few dozen of billions of dollars. And this information is relevant because, I mean, we may don't care about banks, understandably, but banks play a crucial role in economies. And if banks are in a good shape, in a good place, that means economies are also more or less in the good place. So indicator that Russian economy feels okay. There are some issues, of course, because of these Western sanctions, understandably, but still economy is withstanding this pressure and moving forward. And also, by the way, to confirm this information, we have TASS News Agency's report that International Monetary Fund improve its prediction on growth of Russian GDP in 2024. And well, according to new forecast of IMF, Russian economy will grow in 2024 2.6%. 2.6%, which is yet again quite a good percentage if you take in account all that pressure that Russia is under from the Western ruling class and Western sanctions. And well, this is it for now. This is it for now. Hopefully you will find this update interesting. Well, no matter how hard I'm gonna try to make this update short, by the way, they are still too long. I don't know, man. Anyway, hopefully you will find this update interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and share video with your friends. It will help to reach wider audience and deal with the algorithm, especially YouTube's algorithm. And if you think this project, this channel is interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.